20 people queuing up for a single flat, £2,265 a month for a London bedroom. Landlords exiting the market in droves. If you're renting right now, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're a landlord watching your margins evaporate, this is hitting you hard too. But here's what most people get wrong. They think these crises are unpredictable disasters. They're not. Rental crises follow a repeating pattern, and it's one we've seen play out across Argentina, Sweden, Berlin, and now, clearly, the United Kingdom. And the thing is, we've known how to fix it for decades. It's just not what most politicians want to hear. Before we break this down any further, if you want to understand the hidden policy shifts reshaping your finances and property wealth, go ahead and gently tap that subscribe button now. Property Brief UK provides clear, timely insights and summaries that keep you one step ahead. Every rental crisis that's grinding away right now has the same fingerprints. You start with soaring rents, then you get impossible competition for homes. Landlords begin to panic and exit. Supply collapses. Rents spike even faster. It's not bad luck. It's a predictable chain reaction, and it happens because governments usually respond to skyrocketing rents the exact same way. They introduce rules they think will protect tenants. Rent caps, eviction restrictions, tenant protections. They all sound reasonable on paper. The problem is what happens next. When regulations squeeze landlords, when the margins disappear, when the rules get too tight, when the uncertainty piles up, small landlords have one option left. They sell. They pull their properties out of the rental market and move to something less stressful. Maybe they sell to a first-time buyer. Maybe they convert to holiday lets. Maybe they just hand it over to a property company that charges premium rates. Either way, the home disappears from affordable rental supply. It's a cycle nobody seems to learn from. But let me show you why it keeps repeating. Argentina locked rents into 3-year contracts tied to wage growth, capped them in pesos during massive inflation, and didn't allow dollar pricing. On paper, it was designed to protect poor renters during a currency crisis. In reality, landlords looked at those rules and decided rental income wasn't worth it anymore. They switched portfolios to Airbnb. They left apartments empty. They exited the market entirely. The result? Long-term rental listings collapsed, supply evaporated. And despite the controls supposedly keeping rents down, real rents actually jumped roughly 140%. Not because landlords are greedy, because there were fewer homes to rent, so the few that remained got bid up massively. Tenants ended up paying more under the protection policy than they would have without it. It's counterintuitive. It's also completely predictable once you understand the mechanism. Sweden's been running rent caps since World War II. When you've got lifetime limits keeping rents far below market levels, renters never leave their cheap apartments. The incentive to move house? Zero. So new supply barely enters the system. Instead, Sweden created 9-year wait lists for rental homes. That's not an exaggeration. Tenants wait nearly a decade for affordable flats. When you can't get into the formal market, what happens? Black markets. Subletting at inflated rates. Bribes. People paying thousands just to secure the right to queue for a flat. One of the world's richest countries, completely unable to match renters with homes because the signal system got turned off. Cheaper isn't the same as fairer, not when fewer people can actually get a home. Berlin tried something more recent and more radical. In February 2020, they introduced the Mietendeckel, a strict rent cap that froze prices on most buildings. Rent controls set limits between roughly 4 and 10 euros per square metre. In the first phase, advertised listings showed minimal early impact before demand chased limited supply and prices began rising again. But then they introduced a second hit. They started forcing rent reductions on existing leases above the cap. That's when landlords really reacted. Listings collapsed, development slowed. New apartments that would have been rental properties got converted to owner-occupancy or sat vacant. All this while, tenants lived in constant uncertainty. Nobody knew if the law would hold. In April 2021, Germany's Federal Constitutional Court struck it down entirely. Suddenly, the law was void. Landlords could claim back payments, Tenants faced bills for thousands of euros in back rent. People who'd made housing decisions based on the reduced rates got hit with massive increases all at once. And here's the kicker. When it ended, rents rebounded even higher than before because confidence evaporated and landlords were now chasing lost revenue. It was supposed to help. It made things worse. Now look at the UK. Since 2015, the population has grown by over 2 million people. Net migration peaked at extraordinary levels. Job mobility increased. Young people came to cities to work and earn. All that demand? It hit the rental market like a flood. But rental supply stayed flat or actually declined. The Office for National Statistics shows the average property now gets around 21 applicants. That's double what we saw before the pandemic. Rents have risen between 30 and 40% in just 5 years. In London, the figures are even more grim. Average rents hit £2,265 in October 2025. That's not gradual, that's a squeeze. Researchers at Zoopla found that new let prices have risen 21% in 3 years. Compare that to house prices up just 4% over the same period. Renters are getting hit harder than anyone else in the property market. So why are landlords bailing out now? Start with Section 21. Removal of no-fault evictions used to be a safety valve for landlords managing problem tenants. Without it, eviction becomes a legal war that can take months and thousands in legal fees. Then you've got energy efficiency upgrades required by law. Then you've got the Renters' Rights Bill promising indefinite tenancies, which sounds protective but scares landlords with its open-endedness. Add in mortgage interest relief being cut for higher-rate taxpayers. Add in stamp duty surcharges on buy-to-let properties. Suddenly, a landlord who used to clear 5 or 6% yield is now looking at yields closer to 3 or 4% after costs. Meanwhile, you can see what's happening. Landlords are pulling out. One property sold becomes one fewer rental home. 18,000 private rental properties were lost from the market in less than a year recently. Multiply that across the UK. Every landlord who exits takes affordability options with them. The remaining landlords serve fewer people. Competition for what's left gets fiercer. Rents climb. Scotland cranked the regulations even tighter. 3% annual rent caps, and 8% tax on second homes. Indefinite tenancies with no breakpoints. But here's where it gets perverse. New tenancies are exempt from the cap. So what happens? Landlords hike rents on new lets to compensate for the restrictions on existing ones. Over recent years, including periods under the rent freeze, Scottish rents have risen sharply, averaging double-digit annual increases since controls eased in 2024. That's one of the fastest rates in Europe. The policy designed to keep rents down actually accelerated increases because landlords responded rationally to the incentives created. You can't cap your way to affordability. You just create different distortions. Tenants thought they were being protected. Instead, they got faster rent growth and fewer homes available. So what actually fixes a rental crisis? 3 places got it right, and they have nothing in common except this. They build. Singapore developed an enormous public housing system. 90% of the population owns their home. Rents stay stable because supply meets demand. Vienna put 60% of its residents into social and subsidized housing. Stable, affordable, works at scale. Tokyo has flexible zoning laws that allow rapid housing supply growth. New apartments get built constantly. Prices stay reasonable. The common thread? They didn't fix the problem with regulation. They fixed it by building more homes at scale. Policy uncertainty ends. Investment comes back. Landlords stay in the market. Supply matches demand. Rents stabilize naturally. It's not sexy. It doesn't make headlines about punishing landlords. But it works. Here's what's actually happening in today's UK market. Rents rose 8.1% in the year to February 2025, reaching £1,326 monthly on average. That's still way above wage growth. In some regions, it's even worse, North East England seeing 8.9% year on year. What's interesting is demand has started cooling slightly as mortgage rates stabilized, migration tightened, and more first-time buyers got access to credit. Some rental supply is starting to come back. But here's the problem. You can't rebuild what's already left the market. When a landlord sells after 5 years of stress, that property doesn't automatically come back to rental use. Often it gets sold to an owner-occupier or converted to holiday lets. The damage is done. Some property firms report that 47% of landlords are actively considering selling. 47%. That's not a correction, that's an exodus. The only proven solution is building roughly 340,000 new homes annually, with at least 145,000 being affordable, according to the National Housing Federation. But new construction takes time and capital. It doesn't happen overnight. In the meantime, rents will stay elevated and choice will stay squeezed because the policy decisions made over the past 5 years have already pushed stock out of the market. That damage is baked in. So here's what I want to know, and I want you to answer this in your head. Do you think another round of regulation, another rent freeze, another restriction is actually going to reverse this? Because history says it won't. History says you'll get fewer homes, higher rents, and tenants stuck. The maths has never worked any other way. The only way out is commitment to building. Real building. Sustained and at scale. Before we go, perhaps you can share your thoughts on this. Are you really struggling to find a rental property? Has your rent simply become unaffordable? Are you a landlord, cringing at the latest regulations, wondering whether to increase rent? Are you one of the 47% looking to exit the market? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Property Brief UK for more essential updates on the UK property market. We cover everything from legislation changes and market trends to practical advice for tenants, landlords, and investors. Ring the notification bell so you never miss an update that could affect your property decisions. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.